Okay, so yes, so last class I didn't have time to make the notes, so finally I prepared that written notes. So we were discussing about loss of pre-stress in in cables due to friction. So we looked at a post-tension beam, which a beam was there and a hole, duct hole was made in the beam, and a cable was passed through the beam. It was anchored at one end, and from the other end, a force, hydraulic jack force was applied. So when the hydraulic jack force was being applied, friction developed along that cable, and that frictional force reduced the tension, the axial load, axial stress in the in that cable. Okay, so we found a relation by analyzing a small cable element, how the axial force reduces along the length. So we took a cable element. We had on the left hand some P load and right hand P plus dP, and there is the normal reaction acting downward and friction force acting in the rightward direction. We write sigma fx, that is equilibrium in the x direction and equilibrium in the y direction. So if you do equilibrium analysis in the y direction, we get n is equal to p d alpha. And if you do equilibrium equation in the x direction, we simply get that the loss of stress in the loss of force, pre-stress in the cable is equal to the friction force. Okay, so ff is equal to minus dp. So we then apply the Coulomb's law, and we get this relation dp by p is equal to minus mu s d alpha, and we integrate it, we get ln p is equal to minus mu alpha plus constant. Now then c is unknown, so we have to apply the boundary conditions. So we have our cable here, and at the left edge we have alpha a is 0, and the right edge that slope is alpha b, and the if you draw a tangent at b and tangent at a, they will intersect, and that angle between them is alpha b minus alpha a, and we denote that as alpha, and that is also equal to the angle subtended by the cable at the center. So that is this alpha here. So we can substitute ln pa is minus mu alpha a plus constant, and ln pb is equal to minus mu s alpha b plus constant, and then we subtract 2 from 1. Then we get ln pb minus ln pa, and minus mu s alpha b plus mu s alpha a. So we can rewrite this as ln pb by ln logarithm of pb by pa is minus mu s alpha b minus alpha a, and that is alpha. Okay, so we get this relation pb is pa times e power exponential power minus mu s alpha. Then we introduced a simplification that e power minus x, we can write it as 1 minus x plus x square by 2 factorial minus xn by n factorial. So as x is very, if we assume that x is small, then e power minus x will become 1 minus x. So what it effectively means is, suppose this cable is there and the slopes of the cable are very small, means the dy by dx of the cable is very small, then we can approximate then this angle uh, alpha, we can treat it as a very small quantity, and then we can use this expression e power minus x is 1 minus x. So yeah, alpha will be s by r, and since the slope is very small, the projection of s onto the x-axis is x, so that is equal to the length. Okay, so alpha will be l by r, and I hope you are following what I said. So alpha is l by r, that is projection of the arc of the circle onto the x-axis. Okay, and then we can write this equation pb is equal to pa e power minus mu s. Instead of alpha, we will write l by r. Okay, so and then we write l by r, and then we expand it, it will become 1 minus mu l by r. So we have pb is equal to pa into 1 minus mu l by r. So l by r is alpha, l is the length of the cable, and r is the radius of curvature, and so we get this expression. So we can draw the force flow diagram. What do you say force flow diagram? It is the plot of the axial force along the length of the cable. So we have the cable here, left edge is a and right edge is b, and at point a we have the pre-stress force pa, and at point b we have the pre-stress force pb. And if you see here, the slope of this uh, like if you join here, l is the distance of the point from the left edge, so there is a linear variation happening, and the slope will be mu by r. Okay, that is a negative slope, and this is the force flow diagram. So it represents the axial force distribution along the length of the cable. So from the axial force, we can find out what is the stretch in the cable, means by how much the cable has elongated with respect to its initial position. So to find that stretch in the cable, so initially the cable has some length A naught B naught, and then because of this axial force, its length has increased to AB. So what is that stretch? So to do that, we need to find the strain in the cable times the initial quantity dx. So sigma epsilon will be sigma by E, and sigma is P by A. Okay, so if P is constant, we get PL by EA, but since P is a function of x, so we had to write P of x into D of x. So what is integral P of x dx from 0 to L? That is the area under the force flow diagram. Okay, so area under the force flow diagram by EA will give the stretch in the cable. So in this problem, the area is PA plus PB is a trapezium. So sum of the opposite sides, average of the opposite sides into length. Okay, so PA plus PB by 2 into L by EA. That is the stretch in the cable. Okay, so this is what we had discussed in the last class. So I have summarized it. Now we'll go to the next part of the loss of pre-stress. Next topic. So the loss of pre-stress can happen due to wobbling. So what was wobbling? I had discussed this also. So usually the cables are not straight. They have this curvy shape. For straight duct holes or curved duct holes also, this cable need not be straight. Okay. So because of this, when we apply the load, when you do the pre-stressing by the hydraulic jack force, by the hydraulic jack, then there will be some friction which will be developed between the cable and the surrounding area. So this friction has to be overcome, and as a result, there will be loss of pre-stress due to this. So this entire frictional force can be quantified by this factor called wobbling coefficient. Okay, so that is denoted by Kf. So Kf is the wobbling coefficient, and it is given as per unit length. It is given per unit length, and the way to represent the loss of pre-stress due to this wobbling, that is given by this expression. So Pb is equal to Pa times e power minus Kfl. So KFL will take care of this loss of pre-stress. Just like we have mu alpha, so here we have minus KFL. So KF is the wobbling coefficient per unit length, and if we multiply with length, you will get that actual loss. Okay. So we can combine this wobbling coefficient with the friction due to curvature, friction developed due to curvature of the cable. So we'll get PB is equal to PA e power minus mu alpha plus KL. K is a wobbling coefficient and L is the length of the cable. Here mu is the coefficient of friction and alpha is the angle subtended by the cable at the center. Or the change in slopes of the cable from point A to point B. So that is the alpha. So we can write this combination, and we get this mu alpha plus KL in the exponential part with a negative sign. So there is another factor which is so we can rewrite this equation by taking mu common. So we get PA e power minus mu alpha plus K bar by mu L. Okay. So what is K bar by mu? K bar by mu, there is another, they have sometimes in textbooks they have introduced some beta coefficient. So that beta is actually K bar by mu. So we can either use beta, or if K bar is given, you can use K bar. Okay. So this equation will become minus mu alpha plus beta L in some textbooks, and sometimes we can directly use K bar, and K bar by mu we can calculate, and then we can find the loss of pre-stress. Okay, so this is the final expression. You can use this expression also. Pb is equal to Pa e power alpha is replaced by L by R. So then we can take L common. It will be minus mu by R plus K bar into L. So let's do one some simple example. So we have a post-tensioned pre-stressed concrete beam, and the cable has a parabolic profile. The cable has zero eccentricity at both ends, and at the center it has eccentricity of 400 millimeters, and that eccentricity is usually with respect to the neutral axis. And the length of the beam is, the span of the beam is 25 meters, and end A, the pre-stress force is applied. That value is 400 kilonewton. So we are asked to find what is the loss of pre-stress due to friction at this farther end B, and evaluate that force at B. What is given? The coefficient of friction is given 0.30. Wobble coefficient, uh, wobble coefficient, actually they are given beta, beta which is 0.25 degree per meter. Okay. They have not given k bar, they have given beta value in this problem. So let's sketch the beam and identify all the and show all the information which is given. So we have the beam of length 25 meters. So this is the neutral axis of the beam, and we have a cable which is parabolic in shape, and eccentricity of the cable at left edge and right edge is 0. That means the cable will pass through the neutral axis at left edge and the right edge, and at the center the eccentricity is 400 millimeters, and that I am denoting by EM. So the cable is fixed at point B, anchored at B, and from A we are applying that hydraulic jack force, and so the tangent at this point is this line, and the tangent at point B is this line. And if you can find the slope of the cable at this point, that is alpha 1, and that is also the slope, that is angle PM makes with the horizontal. That alpha 1, again we can find the slope here, there, on the right edge, that is alpha 2. And if you see here, this value will be equal to this alpha 1 value, and here this angle will be the tangent, the angle the tangent makes here is alpha 2. So you can see that the total change in the slope will be alpha 1 plus alpha 2. Okay, so first thing we have to find is what is the change in slope of the cable from point A to point B. So we have to find what is this alpha 1 plus alpha 2. So to do that, we write the equation of the cable, and then we find the slope at point A, slope at point B, and then we add those two slopes. So to we begin by writing the equation of the curve. So let's assume y is in the y is in the x along this direction, and x is in this rightward direction. So we already done the we already obtained the equation for the parabola, which is minus em 4x by l into 1 minus x by l. Okay. So at x is equal to 0, it is 0, and x is equal to l also it is 0. And at the center l by 2, it is 1 by 2 into 1 minus 1 by 2. So 4 into 1 by 2 into 1 by 2, it will cancel, it will get minus em. So we can differentiate this with respect to x. We get minus em 4 by l into 1 minus 2x by l. x if we differentiate, it will become 1, and x square it will be 2x. And at x is equal to 0, it is minus 4 em by l. X is 0, minus 4 em by l, and at x is equal to l, it will become plus 4 em by l, and plus 4 em by l is also tan alpha 2. So we can find out what is the alpha value. Alpha 1 and alpha 2 are equal, only that there is a negative slope here and there is a positive slope there. So we can find tan alpha 1, it is 4 into em. Em is 400 and length is 25, so we express in millimeters, so 25,000. So this value is coming 0.064 radian. So we can find inverse of okay, sorry, 0.064. I think radian is not there. So we can find out what is alpha 1, and that value is again 0.367 degrees. If you take tan inverse of 0.064, it is 0.367 degrees. And if you express again in radians, you get the same answer, minus 0.064 radian. Okay, so alpha, how do we convert degree to radian? We multiply pi by 180. So degree into pi by 180 will give the answer in, will give the value in radian. So 1 pi radians is equal to 180 degrees. So we have to multiply like this. So alpha is alpha 1 plus alpha 2. That is this change in the slope between this point and this point is this value, and that is alpha 1 plus alpha 2. So that is 2 times that. So 2 times 0.064 is 0.128 radian. So we get mu, we already given mu, that is 0.30, and we have been given beta value. So beta is k by mu, so k is beta mu. Okay, so beta is given as 0.25 degree per meter. So KL value will be 0.25 degree into 25 meters into mu. So it is so 0.5 degree will convert into radian. It will be pi by 180, and we get this value for KL as 0.03273. So we know mu value, we know alpha value, and we know KL value now. Okay, so just to make it clear, we have been given beta value, and K bar will be mu times this value per meter. So again, mu into 0.25 into 25 meters, and that value we had to convert into radian. So that is what we have done here. So mu into 0.25 into 25 meters, and then we are converted into radian by multiplying with pi by 180. So we get 0.03273. So we'll have to, in the exponential term, we'll have mu alpha plus KL. Okay, so that's what we are doing here. PA is equal to PB is equal to PA into e power minus mu alpha plus KL, and that value is minus 0.0711. And if you multiply this, you get 372.5. So we can draw the force flow diagram for the along the span. So at point A, we have PA is 400 kilonewton, and at point B, we have 372.5 kilonewton. And we can assume a linear variation because the slope of the cables are very small. We can assume that linear variation. So there is a loss of pre-stress from point A to point B, and that loss of pre-stress is a difference. 400 minus 372.5, which is 27.5 kilonewton. Okay. So this is the application of the loss of pre-stress due to example involving the loss of pre-stress due to the friction and curvature plus wobbling coefficient. Okay. So this part is friction part. Only when there is a curvature we have loss of pre-stress due to friction. And wobbling coefficient, it can happen both for straight cable and curved cables, and that is simply K times L. Okay. Suppose if cable is straight, then alpha will be 0. There is no change in slope of the cable between end A and end B. So this term will go to 0. But still wobbling coefficient can be there, and we can have that loss of pre-stress due to the wobbling. Okay. So we'll go to the next part, which is loss of pre-stress due to anchorage slip. Okay, I will take a small break and come back. Okay, so let's discuss about loss of pre-stress due to anchorage slip. So here we have this pre-stressed beam with this cable, and it is anchored on the left edge. Oh, sorry, it's anchored on the right edge, and we are having this. We are applying that force by the hydraulic jack force, by the hydraulic jack, and the hydraulic jack will produce a pre-stress force of P naught. And then we put that cable, we embed that cable between two wedges, between a wedge system. Okay. And throughout the cable, we assume that there is no wobbling, and also that since the cable is straight, there is no loss due to friction. So throughout the cable, we have a uniform axial force equal to P naught. So the force flow diagram for this cable will be like this. So we have that length of the cable AB. At any point, the pre-stress will be P naught. Okay. So you'll have a horizontal line. So the axial force along the cable is P naught. Now we can find out what is the length of the cable, what is the elongation in the cable. So that elongation will be area under the curve by EA. So area is P naught into L by EA. That is the elongation in the cable. Now what happens is we have provided the hydraulic jack force, and that cable is now put into a wedge system. And sometimes what can happen is the cable can slip a little bit to the right, and as a result the stretch in the cable is reduced, and therefore the pre-stress in the cable gets reduced. Okay, so if there is a slip happening here, and the loss of pre-stress is a, there is some slip, say the slip amount is delta. Okay, and we just indicate a slip to show that that is the anchorage slip which is happening there. So because of the slip, there is a reduction in the axial force along the cable, and that reduction is delta P. So the new axial force along the cable is P naught minus delta P. Okay, so this is what is happening after slip. Again, since there is no wobbling and since there is no curvature, there is no friction loss and there is no wobbling loss. So we have a uniform state of stress along the cable, and that uniform state of stress is shown here. We draw the force flow diagram. So what has happened initially, force was P naught, and then there is a drop by delta P, and the force is now P naught minus delta P. Okay, and that is shown by the solid line. And we can find out what is the new elongation in the cable. So that elongation will be area under this force flow diagram by EA. That is P naught minus del P into length by EA. EA of the cable, that is steel, and area of the cable, APS. Okay. Now we know the slip amount is this much. So we can find out the relation between delta P and delta slip. To do that, initial elongation minus the final elongation is equal to the delta slip. Okay, so delta slip is delta AB minus delta prime AB. So if you subtract P naught minus this quantity P naught L by ESAS minus P naught minus delta PL by ESAS, we get delta PL by ESAS. Okay, so the amount of slip which is occurring is related with delta P by this relation. And we can write delta P, that is the loss of pre-stress due to slip. We can send ESES to the right hand side and we get this expression, ESES by L into delta slip. And we can find out the loss in stress. So we divide delta P by area of steel, we get delta sigma S, and we get here ES delta slip by L. Okay, so that is the loss of pre-stress due to the slip which is occurring at this end. So this is for a straight cable. Okay, straight cable, and it's a very straightforward relation. Okay, so delta P is ES by L into delta slip, or you can say P is equal to KX kind of thing. This one. Then we'll look into pre-stress loss for a curved cable. So how does pre-stress loss occur in a curved cable? There is one example. Yeah, let's do that example. Okay. So just consolidate this concept. So we are having a cable with pre-stress of 1000 Newton per millimeter square, and at the end A we have 5 millimeters slip taking place. The Young's modulus of steel is 210. So we are asked to estimate the percentage loss of pre-stress due to anchorage slip if length of the cable or length of the beam is 30 meters or length of the beam is 3 meters. So we just apply that formula. Delta loss in stress is E times delta slip by length. So E is 210 kilonewton per meter square, and delta slip is 5 millimeters. Length is 30 meters, so 30 into 10 power 3 millimeters. So what we can do, we can cancel out kilonewton and 10 power 3, and 0 0 cancel out, so 3775 is 35. So we get 35 Newton per millimeter square. So what is the loss in pre-stress due to slip of 5 millimeters? The 30 meter beam, that will be delta sigma A by sigma naught into 100. So sigma naught is 1000 and loss of pre-stress is 35. So we are getting around 3.5% loss in the pre-stress for this 30 meter cable. 30 meter cable, you can say 30 meter beam. And for 3 meter beam, what will happen? So the formula will be same, only that we have the subscript B, and length of the beam will be 3 meters instead of 30. So it will be 3 to 10 power 3. And here then, as the length is reduced, the delta sigma V will be 350 Newton per millimeter square. Okay, it has increased by, I think increased by 10 times. Okay, so the percentage loss will be 350 by 1000. So we are getting 35%. So there is a higher loss in pre-stress for shorter beams. Okay, so shorter beams lose more pre-stress due to anchorage slip. So that is the main conclusion from this example. So if the beam is short, a small anchorage slip will result in a very large loss in pre-stress. For a lengthy beam, for a, we don't have to worry about that anchorage slip because the percentage loss due to pre-stress will be negligible, 3.5%. Okay, and here in this case it was 35% for the shorter beam. Okay, so this is one of the finding we can get from this example. And there is one more problem here. Post tension cable with 10-meter long span, which is initially tension to 1000 megapascal at one end, had tendons are curved, so the slope is 1:24 at each end, and area of the cable is 600 millimeter square. Friction coefficient is 0.55, wobble coefficient is 0.0015, slip is occurring, and that is 3 millimeters. Young's modulus of steel is 210 kilonewton per millimeter square. So we are asked to find what is the loss of pre-stress due to friction and due to anchorage slip. There is some problem here. I think there's some problem. I think didn't do it properly. It's not that straightforward. I think this person has done. I think there's some problem here with this one. So I'll skip this part because we are dealing with anchorage slip in curved cables. So we have to take care of something. So let's look at anchorage slip in curved cables. So previously we are looking at a straight cable, and what happens when there is a slip occurring at a straight cable. Now we have a curved cable. Okay, so this is the curved cable, and what is happening is the cable is anchored at B. Okay, it is fixed there, and hydraulic jack force is applied at A. So we have the relation PB is equal to PA e power minus mu alpha. Alpha is the change in slope between A and B. So that we can express as minus mu L by R. So that is the length by the radius of curvature. And we can simplify this equation by writing 1 minus x, so 1 minus mu L by R. So PB is approximately PA into 1 minus mu L by R. And we can draw the force flow diagram. So at A we have PA, and at B we have PB, and we connect it by a straight line, and the slope of the line is minus mu by R. So the loss of pre-stress between A and B is PA minus PB, which is PA mu PA minus PB. So it will be PA times mu L by R. Okay. So let's remember this equation. PA minus PB is equal to PA mu by R into L. So and keep it aside. And we know one more thing. The elongation in the cable is the area under the force flow diagram by E times A. Okay, so delta AB, the elongation in AB is 1 by ES into area under the force flow diagram. So let's keep it aside. Now next step is we are having a slip occurring at point A. So this is little involved, so I request you to pay attention. So here there is a slip occurring at point A. So the cable slips at A. So when the cable is slipping at A, what happens is the shrinking of the cable will occur, but that shrinking will not occur over the entire cable length. It will occur only for part of the cable. Okay, part of the cable will shrink when there is a slipping here. Let's say the portion which is shrinking is AD. Okay, this portion is shrinking in length, and this portion will not have any this portion will not be affected. The portion DB is not affected by this anchorage slip. Only portion AD is being affected, and there is a movement of the cable to the right, and up to this point the cable moves to the right. The maximum movement will occur at this point, and at point D there is no movement, zero movement. Okay, so when the cable is slipping, it moves to the right. As a result, there is backward friction. There is friction being developed there, and this friction we call it as backward friction. And the coefficient of friction with for this backward friction, coefficient of friction for this slipping, that we denote by mu prime. And from point D onwards, we have the original friction, which is forward friction. Okay. So the main thing is the cable will slip between A to D in the rightward direction, and there is a backward friction being developed. The coefficient of friction associated with it is mu prime. Okay, and when there is this anchorage slip, there is a loss in pre-stress at point A. Okay, the axial force PC. Okay, what is this? Yeah. Loss of pre-stress at point A is delta P, and this loss. So the new pre-stress at this point A is P prime A. But just to clarify, I don't want to use the same subscript A and prime, so I just replace it with PC. Okay. So instead of P prime A, I'll keep using PC. So this is the new pre-stress in the cable at point A, and this PC is PA minus delta P, where delta P is the loss in pre-stress at A. Okay. And I have told about backward friction, which is activated. And what happens is, here we have PC, and here we have backward friction acting in the same direction as PC. So what will happen is the axial stress in the cable will increase from PC to PD. Okay, it will keep increasing up to point D, and from point D onwards again it will keep decreasing to point PB. Okay, so the axial force diagram will look something like this. So initially we have that straight profile PA to PB, and what happens due to anchorage slip, part of the cable slips in the rightward direction. So this portion, AD portion, will slip in the rightward direction as a backward friction is activated. And because of the slip, there is a drop in the pre-stress force at A, and that drop is by delta P amount, and the new pre-stress force is PC. And because of this backward friction, the axial stress in the cable will increase and up to point D. Okay, so that is indicated by the straight line. And after that, the axial stress will keep decreasing because of this forward friction. Okay, so this phenomena is happening here. I think we can analyze and find out what is this delta P, what is this length Lx, and what is this PD and all. We can find out. Okay, so to do that, we will have to look into the equations and all. So first thing we can know is that what is the length of the cable AB in after slipping has occurred at point A. So the length of the cable A will be area under the force flow diagram. Okay, so delta A prime B is equal to area under the force flow diagram by ES/AS. So what is the area under the force flow diagram? It is the area under this curve, this solid line curve. Okay. Now we want to find what is delta slip. What is the slip which has occurred at A? So that will be equal to the initial length of the cable, initial elongation of the cable minus the final elongation of the cable. So that will be equal to the initial area minus the final area by ES/AS. So that is what we have. Delta slip is equal to initial elongation minus final elongation. Okay. So that will be this area, PA, PD, PB, the area under that part of the curve, minus area under PC, PD, PB. Okay. So what is the difference between those two areas? Can anyone answer it? Amit Kumar, can you answer? What is the area? What is the difference in area between this trapezium and this curve? PC, PD, PB.
PA, PC, PD. Area of PA, PC, PD.
Yeah, that is the area of this triangle, right? The difference between this area minus this area is the area of the triangle. Okay. So what is the area of the triangle? Anyone can answer?
Half
Lx delta beta by
half
2.
into del P into this AD.
Of del P into Lx. Okay, AD. AD
Yes,
is
sir.
Lx. So half del P into Lx. So
Yes.
that is the area under the triangle. Okay. So the same thing we use. So the delta slip value is equal to elongation of AB minus elongation of A prime B. So that is the area of the triangle divided by ES/AS. So area of the triangle is half delta P into Lx by ES/AS. Okay. So that is the slip which is occurring at A. So this, let's write that as equation 6. Okay, and then we'll do some analysis and we get some expression for Lx, and then remaining things we can find out. So first thing we can do is we can write PD in terms of PA. So PD value is PA times e power minus mu alpha d minus alpha a, which is minus mu Lx by r. So the length of this length by the radius of curvature. And similarly, here we write the relation between PC and PD. So this problem is little different. We have here PD here, axial stress, and there PC here, and it is like an inverted problem. So PC will increase along this, and it will become PD. So PD value will be PC into e power plus mu prime Lx by r. Okay, the backward friction coefficient is mu prime. So we have plus mu prime Lx by r. The same analysis we have to do, but here the pre-stress value will increase because of friction. So as a result, we have this plus term. Okay, plus mu prime. Mu prime is the coefficient of friction associated with backward friction. So we can combine now the equations 3 and equation 4. We can combine, and we get if we send PC is e power plus mu Lx by r to this part, we get PA into e power minus mu plus mu prime Lx by r. And again, we'll simplify this. We'll write 1 minus mu plus mu prime Lx by r, and we'll calculate what is PA minus PC. PA minus PC is PA times mu plus mu prime Lx by r. Now we take mu common, and we get PA mu by r 1 plus mu prime by mu into Lx. So we have PA minus PC, that is the loss of pre-stress at A, that is delta P, and we have PA mu by r 1 plus mu prime by mu Lx. So we have already done this expression. What is PA mu by r? So we have done that in this equation 2. PA mu by r is PA minus PB by L. Okay. So we write that here PA mu by r is PA minus PB by L into 1 plus mu prime by mu Lx. So we have this equation 5. Now what we do, this delta P value is this thing, we substitute it here in delta slip equation. Okay, so here there is Lx and there is another Lx there. So it will become Lx square, and we can find out Lx. So that's what we'll do here. So delta slip will be half delta P into Lx by Es. So delta P is this value, PA minus PB by L into 1 plus mu prime by mu into Lx. So we have Lx square, and we can send this entire term to this side. So we have 2 ESAS L delta slip by PA minus PB into 1 plus mu prime by mu. So this is the Lx square value. From this we take the square root, we get Lx. So Lx will represent the point up to which the cable will shrink. After that, the cable the slip will have, the anchor slip will not have any effect on that part of the cable, remaining portion. Up to only Lx, there will be slipping taking place, and beyond that portion there is no slipping. Okay, and we can find out what is delta P. It's already, we have done it. So PA minus PB by L into 1 plus mu prime. Once you find Lx, we can find out what is delta P, and we can find what is PD by that equation. Linear variation is there, so PA minus slope into length. Okay. So this is the way to derive this. So the main concept here is this concept of backward friction. When this slip occurs here, a portion of the cable will move to the rightward direction, and remaining portion will not be affected. That remaining portion is dB. So there the forward friction will keep continue to be there. But here in the portion AD, the slip is taking to the rightward direction. So there is this backward friction developing. So the coefficient associated with this mu prime. As a result of this backward friction, there will be a drop at A from PA will become to PC. There will be a drop in pre-stress, and after that, because of backward friction, there is an increase in the axial stress from PC to PD. Okay, so this is the main physics behind it, and the remaining are these equations, which are simple relations like belt friction relations. Okay, only thing is that PD is PC into E plus E power plus mu prime Lx by r. Okay, that is the only new part. I think rest are the same. And another thing is that initial elongation is the area under this curve, minus final elongation is the area under this curve. That is this area of the triangle. Okay, so that area of the triangle by ESAS will give the delta slip. So that is another thing we have used here. Delta slip is the area of the triangle by ESAS. Okay, so we can solve one problem and see what is happening there. So we are using the previous example, and here figure shows the force flow diagram for a curved post tension cable. Span of the cable is 25 meters, and at edge, here at A it is 400 kilonewton, and at B it is pre-stress is 371 kilonewton. Area of the pre-stressing cable 600 millimeter square. Backward friction coefficient is 1.5 times the forward coefficient. Young's modulus of steel 2.1 into 10 power 5 Newton per millimeter square. So the cable slips at A by this amount, 4 millimeters. So estimate the pre-stress loss due to slippage and draw the new force flow diagram. So we just substitute those, we just write the formula for Lx square. So 2 delta slip ESA APS L by PA minus PB 1 plus mu prime by mu. So all these values are given. Delta slip is 4 millimeters. Young's modulus 2.1 into 10 power 5 Newton per millimeter square. Area of pre-stressing 600 millimeter square. Length is 25 meters. We express in millimeter. 25 into 10 power 3 millimeter. PA minus PB 400 minus 371 into kilonewton, so into 10 power 3 Newton, and mu prime by mu is 1 plus 1.5. So Lx square we are getting around 347,586,206 millimeter square. You take the square root, you get 18,643 millimeter, and it will become 18.64 meters. So we see that length of the slip will occur for about a distance of 18.64 meters, which is less than the length of the cable. Okay. So in this problem, it is less than length of the cable. What will happen if it is greater than length of the cable? So I'll give one homework there. You can think about it. I'll give a problem where the slip, this Lx will be exceeding this value, and you have to think how to analyze the problem. I'll give it in the Moodle homework. Okay. So for this problem, we are safe. We have Lx is 18.64 and it is less than 25 meters. And we can find out what is delta P. So PA minus PB by L into Lx into 1 plus mu prime by mu. So PA minus PB is 400 minus 371 by kilonewton by 25 meters into 18.64 into 1 plus 1.5. We're getting on 54 kilonewton. So then we can find out what is PC. PA minus delta P. 400 minus 54, it is 346. And then we can find out what is PD. Because there is a linear variation between point A to point B, and D is a point lying on that line. So the slope is PA minus PB by L, and the length of the cable distance AD is Lx. So PA minus PB by L into Lx. So we are getting 400 minus 21.6 and 378.4. Okay, so we can draw the force flow diagram, new force flow diagram after anchor slip has occurred. So initially we have this PA, PD, and PB. 400 and 371, and because of this anchor slip, there is a loss of pre-stress at A, and that is reduced by some 54 kilonewton, and it has become PC. So 400 minus 54, it was 346, and from PC to PD there is an increase in pre-stress because of the backward friction, and it will hit the point D at 378 at a distance of 18.64 meters. And this value is 378, and from there onwards the same force will be whatever was existing, it will be continuing. Okay, so this is the force flow diagram for the anchorage slip. Okay, so I will give one homework involving this these things in Moodle, and today is I think 10 p.m. is the deadline, so please finish your homework by the Moodle homework by today. Okay, so